Hello, everybody. Again, Paul Waller, President of Christian Sports Medicine Alliance. We are now, I think, episode 6 of Medicine with a Mission, Faith, Family, and the Profession. This is obviously a pre-recorded interview with Dr. Terry DeWitt, one of my closest friends. But this will be posted on, this is March 1st. We're going to highlight a athletic trainer, Christian athletic trainer, every single day throughout the month of March for National Athletic Training Month. And Terry, like I said, a good friend of mine, will be our first one that we'll highlight. And like the other episodes that I've done with our other athletic trainers, we're just going to talk to him about where he is, what he's doing, his background, and really just let him share his story and his testimony. Because like I've always said, I believe that everybody has a testimony, everybody has a story to share. Terry has kind of been, I don't want to say all over the map in a negative way, but he's kind of been all over the map with his background, not only in athletic training, but in other areas that he'll talk about. So Terry, Dr. Terry DeWitt, I always like saying that. He is a doctor, has a PhD.
It's pretty scary.
It is kind of scary. Yes. Yes. We, you and I go back, I guess 5, 6, 7 years. Really developed a really close friendship. So, kind of tell people where you and I met. I mean, how did we come in contact with each other, and what's our background together?
So, thanks for having me, Paul. It is good to be here, and it's great to work with the CSMA and the good things that you're doing, and bringing our profession into the ministry. I think that's I think a lot of people have an opportunity to be disciples. Everybody does, including athletic trainers. And there's a discipleship in our work with what we do. Paul and I know we've talked before about CSMA. I was interested in doing some mission work, and I met Paul. I guess our first time to meet face to face was probably at SWATA,
probably
in Arlington, and got to hang out a little bit in fellowship, and then I went on a mission trip to Belize with you, and then I went back one other time by myself, and then I went back again the second time with you, and so I got to see really the groundwork that is being laid in Belize from the CSMA standpoint. Also have been to Honduras with Corey Weir, continuing on some of the things that we did in Belize over into Honduras. And so I'm excited about the future as far as where we're going in the missionary field and athletic training. So it's always fun to travel to different countries, but I know there's always a discipling can be done anywhere, even in our own backyard. And so my hat's off to the disciples that do this on a daily basis. I get to do it and go on a trip or do something and then go back into my normal everyday life, not on the mission field, so to speak. But I think we got a lot of that to do on a daily basis. Just a little bit about my background. I've been an athletic trainer for 30 years, give or take. And, I really wanted to get into athletic training because I didn't want to be a coach. I wanted to do something with getting people back on the field, back from recovering from injuries. And I grew up and went to college. There wasn't an athletic trainer at my university. And so I was a student learning a lot of things by trial and error, lots of error. And so I thought, there's a better way to do this. And so long story short, that's kind of what got me started in this. As Paul mentioned, I retired from the Army Reserve about 3 or 4 years ago, and was able to stay in the Army Reserve for 32 years. Started off as a private first class because I had 30 hours of college credit when I enlisted, got into ROTC and said, hey, there might be a little bit better way to do this, and retired as a colonel. And so part of being in the Army Reserve and then also being an athletic trainer was all about juggling my time schedule, managing my time, because as most people probably watching this, our athletic trainers are saying, gosh, how do you do all that? Because I work so much, and depending on the setting, and I worked in a college athletic training setting, uh, worked in a physician office and stuff. And so doing Army Reserve on the weekend, 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks in the summer, turned into a 12-month deployment to Iraq, and then another one back to Iraq. The first one was 12-month deployment in 04 and 05. And I really had no idea what I was getting myself into. And I think I've shared this with Paul. The first night I was in Baghdad, I was 2 weeks after I left my home. So that was a pretty fast transition. I spent a week at Fort Bliss, Texas, out in El Paso, and then spent a week down in Kuwait preparing. And so 2 weeks after I left my normal life of, writing on a dry erase board marker, being a college professor, I was in Baghdad getting mortared. And it was a horrific experience. And it made a lot of people who maybe weren't close to God get real close to God.
In a hurry.
It's amazing how times of tragedy and those dark hours can bring a lot of light to your personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And
Yeah.
I was no exception to that.
And you had a family at this time, didn't you, Terry?
I did. And it was unique because having a family is a little bit different, because I had a home life, I had a job to go back to. I was older. I was a major at that time. I'd been in, I actually celebrated my 20-year anniversary of being in the Army Reserve in northern Iraq and at an Iraqi forward operations base. So a lot of the soldiers that were with me, though, were younger and were single and were in college. And so they were uprooted from their normal activities. And when they went back, they had to kind of start all over and wait till school started to get back in, and then, pick up where their jobs where they left off. And I went right back into my family life and moving forward. So it was a little bit different for me. But I spent a year in Iraq. I did 12 months there, and then said, well, I'm not coming back. I don't want to do this again. And lo and behold, I got into a different unit, and they said, hey, we're going to Iraq. Great. So been there, got the t-shirt. So I went back and did a 9-month deployment with a sustainment brigade out of Little Rock. So it was all a great experience for me. Unfortunately, we got the opportunity to be a part of some really horrific things. And it was mostly uneventful, but there were a few things that were really tragic. And again, those times where you run into, how do you get through something bad if you don't have something to help you deal with the tragedies that happen? Bad things are going to happen to people. Good and bad people are going to have good and bad things happen to them. How do you deal with those things? And I've found that the comfort for me was having that personal relationship with Jesus Christ, and somebody that I could pray with, I could talk to, having other Christians with me in our walk as we walk through this thing together, really shed light on my whole walk of faith. And I was already a believer, but I definitely was a believer after that, that ordeal, the whole tragedy of the things that we saw, the things that we experienced, and then the blessing of being able to come back home. And I'll never forget both times I came home and how my family received me, my friends received me. And it was just an uplifting experience. And I was just so grateful, so thankful that God saw me through those tragic times and was able to get back home. I'm gonna share my favorite verses. I got a lot of them, but there's one really that stands out to me, probably more so than anything else, if I can, Paul.
Yeah, sure.
So I think that we, a lot of times, from our own standpoint, we look at others and we see what other people are doing, and it's easy for us to criticize and so, or judge people. And I've really struggled with trying not to judge other people and looking down my nose at somebody else and trying to say, well, that guy shouldn't be doing that. Shame, he shouldn't be living that way. And his sin is greater than my sin. Well, sin is sin. And, we all sin. I think we're all sinners. What we want to try to do is, develop that relationship with Jesus Christ where we don't sin like that. We want to try not to sin, and no one will be perfect. And I guess that's a struggle with everybody's daily life is, how do you not sin? But one of the verses that stands out to me is James 4:11, and it says, "Don't criticize one another, brother. He who criticizes a brother or judges his brother criticizes the law and judges the law. But if you judge the law, you are not a doer of the law, but a judge." And so I think we need judges, don't get me wrong. And I think we need people that work in the law, but I think it's really hard sometimes not to criticize other people. My wife always says we need to look at the good in all situations and try not to focus on the bad. And so that's been one of the things that stuck with me. I have that on my signature block on my emails because I truly believe that it does help me. It helps me in my daily walk. It helps me in my daily struggles. And as we go through this month of Athletic Training Month, we celebrate the wonderful profession that we've all set out to endure. I think there are probably going to be a lot of Bible verses that are going to be shared, a lot of testimonies going to be shared, but this is one that really kind of stands out to me that can be applied in a lot of different areas of all of our lives and all of the things that we do is let's don't criticize. The other verse, and I don't have it in front of me, but it's one of the ones where Jesus is talking about the commandments, I think, and it says the greatest of these is love. So I don't know what verse that is, but I always think about that too. And I think we need to not criticize people, not judge people, but turn that over. We need to love a lot more than what we do. And I look at stuff that's going on in our world right now with the government, the elected officials, and even the right now we've just gone through a horrific snowstorm. We've had here in Arkansas. I'm sitting here in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. We had 15 inches of snow on the ground today. It's just a lot of tough things, but we got to be able to love people and not criticize them like we like to do.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's really, I find myself finding myself seeing a lot. I mean, that we can always find something negative, but it's sometimes we struggle for some odd reason. We struggle to find positive. We struggle to find that positive in someone. We struggle because they may view things differently than we do. They may politically look at things differently than we do. They may believe things differently than we do. But that doesn't, we still have, like you said, we still have to love them.
Yeah.
Love the person. And so I completely agree with you.
Love the person, hate the sin.
Exactly. You're right. Right. So what are you doing now? We know you're in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Right now in life, what are you doing? Then we'll wrap this up.
So I've been at Ouachita Baptist University I'm in my 22nd year, and actually this semester I'm on a sabbatical. which is the greatest thing since sliced bread. This is my second sabbatical where I take a semester off and do some projects. And of course, all my projects, when I wrote my proposal 2 years ago, is pre-COVID. So all of those plans are kind of out the window. So I'm working in a graduate education, athletic training education program at University of Nebraska at Kearney. This semester doing some adjunct, a visiting instructor, visiting professor type deal where I go up there 2 weeks and I come back for 2 weeks and I teach 2 classes for them this semester. I've got a couple other little projects that I'm working on, but I've been at Ouachita. I'm the department chair for kinesiology. We have an exercise science program. We have the teacher education program where you can teach and coach. We do all that stuff. And I'm a professor there and love my job, love the people I work with. I also cover athletic training. I don't work in college athletics. It's just, that's a full-time job. And so I like to tell people I don't want to work that hard. And my hat's off to the people in intercollegiate athletics. That's tough. That's a tough road to hoe. I like high school athletics. It's just my favorite venue. And so I have a local high school in rural Southwest Arkansas called Prescott. And it's a small town, small school, a lot of diversity in that community. And I come down there 2 or 3 days a week during the school year, depending on what time it is. And I'm their athletic trainer. So I've actually enjoyed that. I just started it this past year. So I do a lot of freelance type contract high school stuff. And I've been with Prescott now for a year, and I'm probably going to do that again next year on top of my teaching. I'm retired from the Army Reserve, and I'm on the licensing board in Arkansas for athletic training. And I'm a past president of our state association. Been involved with SWATA, been on several NATA committees. So I like to give back to a profession that's really done just a wonderful thing for me, and it's given me a purpose. And I've been an athletic trainer longer than I've done anything else really in my life, even longer than I've been married to my wife. And we've been married for 33 years, 34, I think 34, 30 something years, whatever it is.
Sorry, we won't tell her.
Yeah, don't let her see this. And you know, it's just a wonderful occupation, a profession to have. And you know, I don't feel like I really work. And some people say, well, you really don't. But you know, it's just fun. It's just a lot of fun.
Well, I know that it's kind of funny when you're talking about your sabbatical. It was fall of 2019 that I think you and I were in Honduras together. No. You were in Honduras, and we were talking about the possibility of doing some things and spending a lot of your sabbatical time in Honduras.
Right.
And that was fall of 2019. And then boom, what happens? You and I were even talking about sabbatical stuff in January, right at the beginning of the year in 2020.
Yeah.
COVID even existed. And this happens. But you know, I think that we're going to be able to move forward. And I know that Honduras is starting to open back up a little bit. I know Belize is starting to open back up. I've said this many a times that this virtual thing is not going away. So that's the reason why we're doing what we're doing now. I had no idea Zoom existed until COVID. And Zoom has been a great thing for us. You know, we've been able to, CSMA has been able to start a YouTube channel. We're going to start putting educational content on there. And I know Terry you'll be involved with that. But yeah, Terry, I just really appreciate you. I mean, our friendship over the last several years, probably 5, 6, 7 years has been and you being a part of Christian Sports Medicine Alliance has been a very much of a blessing to the organization, to the ministry. Your willingness to be my calm at times in the midst of a storm. And, because I mean, especially when you and I are on the mission field together, I'm always frantic and you're like, just calm down.
We got this. We got this.
We got this.
God's got this. Yeah.
He does have it. But Terry, I appreciate you being the first interview we did for National Athletic Training Month. And thank you for being a part of Christian Sports Medicine Alliance. I know that when, by the time people see this, you would have been up and back from Nebraska, maybe a couple of times.
Yeah.
By the time that people see this, the winter will have been gone. You talk about you've got 15 inches. I think we got over since Monday morning. I think here I live in North Texas, we got 6, 7, maybe 8 inches of snow and ice.
Oh.
Everybody knows what's going on in Texas. By the time you see this, you will have realized that our entire state was at one point without power. Some area of our state was without power, and some of my personal friends were without power for several days. And I know that that people like yourself, Terry, and other people were praying for us, hoping that we'd get our power back and our water was okay and pipes or anything. So I appreciate that. Anyway, Terry, I will let you go, and thanks you again for being a part of this and helping us to continue to not only expand our profession, but expand the kingdom and using both of the profession of athletic training and our Christian faith together around the world to make God known in and through our profession. I appreciate that very much.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
You have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Thank you.